Did you know that a staggering 75% of people lose money on betting fantasy apps? A shocking statistic indeed, but not so shocking when you peel back the layers and dive into the murky world of fantasy sports betting. Think about it. You've got your virtual team, your real-world professional athletes, and you're competing based on how these athletes perform in actual games. It's a concept that dates back to the 19th century, and it's been evolving ever since. But with the rise of the internet and the proliferation of these apps, the game has changed significantly. Now, we're not just talking about losing a few dollars here and there. The average loss per user is substantial, enough to make you rethink that quick tap on your screen. And it's not just because you've got a poor hand or your star player is having an off day. There's a darker side to these apps that many users are unaware of. In the world of betting fantasy apps, the house always wins. But it's not just the house that's winning. There are fraudsters and scammers lurking in the shadows, setting traps, manipulating odds, and ensuring that they, not you, come out on top. These manipulators are not just sophisticated, they're cunning, capitalizing on the hopes and dreams of users who believe they're just one bet away from hitting the jackpot. They're the puppet masters, pulling the strings behind the scenes and making a killing while the players are left empty-handed. So before you dive into the world of betting fantasy apps, it's crucial to understand the risks involved. Because in this game, the stakes are high and the odds are not in your favor. Remember, knowledge is power. And in the next scene, we're going to arm you with the knowledge you need to understand the traps and protect yourself from the fraudulent side of betting fantasy apps. One of the biggest traps in betting fantasy apps is the beginner's luck illusion. And what a cunning illusion it is. These apps often ensure that new users experience a winning streak right off the bat. It's a clever ploy to make you think, hey, I'm pretty good at this, and encourage you to bet more. But remember, friend, it's not your extraordinary skill or innate talent. It's a carefully crafted strategy to keep you hooked. Let's delve deeper into this rabbit hole. Another common trap that these apps use is hidden fees. You might think you're only betting a small amount, but before you know it, you're hit with a slew of charges that you weren't aware of. These could be in the form of transaction fees, withdrawal fees, or even inactivity fees. The list is as long as it is sneaky. Now, let's talk about odds, those pesky little numbers that can make or break your game. A lot of betting fantasy apps will present their odds in a way that's not entirely truthful. They might highlight the potential winnings, but brush over the likelihood of those winnings actually happening. It's like showing you a delicious cake, but not mentioning it's made of cardboard. Doesn't quite taste the same, does it? Finally, we must address the elephant in the room: addictive features. These apps are designed to be as engaging as possible. From exciting graphics to thrilling sound effects, every element is meticulously designed to make you want to play just one more round. They're like digital casinos, using the same psychological triggers to keep you betting, playing, and ultimately spending. So, what's the takeaway here? These manipulative tactics are designed to make you lose more than you win. It's not a fair game, it's a business model, and in this business, the house always wins. Fraud is another major issue in the world of betting fantasy apps. This dark side is something that often goes unnoticed by most users, but it's a reality we need to confront. Let's dive into the various forms of fraudulent activities that are prevalent within these apps. The first one is rigged games. This is where the outcome of the game is manipulated to favor certain participants. For instance, there have been cases where a group of players collude to ensure their virtual teams always come out on top. This leaves the other players, who are playing fairly, at a massive disadvantage. Next, we have fake player statistics. This is a cunning play where the performance data of the athletes is tampered with or completely fabricated. For instance, a player who has been performing poorly in real games might be shown as a top performer in these apps. This misrepresentation can lead users to make poor decisions while forming their virtual teams, ultimately causing them to lose their bets. Lastly, we have unauthorized transactions. This is where unauthorized deductions are made from the user's account without their knowledge. The user might discover these deductions only when they check their account balance. In some cases, users have even reported their entire account balance being wiped out overnight. The real-life examples of these fraudulent activities are many. Take the case of John, a regular user of one of these betting fantasy apps. He noticed a series of unauthorized transactions from his account. When he approached the customer service, they brushed it off as a technical glitch and promised to resolve it. But even after several weeks, John's issue remains unresolved. Or consider the case of Rachel, who noticed that the player statistics in her app didn't match with the actual performance of the athletes. When she raised this issue with the app, they dismissed her concerns, leaving her feeling cheated and disillusioned. With these deceptive practices, the odds are stacked heavily against you. But don't lose heart. In the next segment, we'll discuss who the real winners are in these betting fantasy apps. Stay tuned. So, if most users are losing money, who's actually winning in the world of betting fantasy apps? You may ask. Well, let's peel back the curtain and see who's really taking home the gold. In the dazzling world of fantasy sports betting, the real winners are often not those you'd expect. You might think it's the lucky guy who picked the right players at the right time, but the truth is, the consistent victors are the app developers and the professional gamblers, those who truly understand the system and can exploit its flaws. Picture this. For every dollar lost by an amateur bettor, there's a professional gambler or the app itself that's raking in that dollar. It's a zero-sum game. The money has to go somewhere, right? And more often than not, it's not going into the pockets of casual users. Let's dig a little deeper. The developers of these apps are the true magicians behind the curtain. They've created a system that, by design, benefits them. It's like a casino. No matter how many gamblers walk through their doors, the house always has an edge. With every transaction, every bet placed, every game played, these app developers are securing a slice of the pie. The profit margins for these apps can be astounding. They're not just making money from the losses of regular users, they're also profiting from advertising, partnerships, and premium features. This revenue is then funneled back into the system, funding their operations and ensuring the cycle continues. On the other side of the coin, we have the professional gamblers. These individuals are not just playing for fun, they're playing to win. They dedicate their time and resources to understand the intricacies of the system, the statistics of the players, and the dynamics of the game. They know when to hold back and when to go all in. They play the system, not just the game. In the end, the house always wins. The world of fantasy sports betting is no different. It's a playground for the developers and a battlefield for the professionals. So the next time you're about to place a bet on your favorite player, remember who the real winners are. Despite the risks, there are ways to enjoy betting fantasy apps while avoiding the traps and frauds. The key is to be informed and proactive in protecting yourself. Here are a few tips to make your fantasy betting experience safer and more enjoyable. Firstly, do your homework. Research is your best friend when it comes to identifying reputable betting fantasy apps. Look for those that are licensed and regulated by recognized bodies. Check out user reviews and ratings on app stores. These can provide valuable insights into the app's reliability and user experience. A simple Google search can reveal a lot about the app's reputation and history. Secondly, set a budget and stick to it. One of the main pitfalls of fantasy betting is the temptation to chase losses. By setting a budget, you can manage your spending and avoid falling into a financial trap. Remember, the goal is to have fun, not to make a fortune. Thirdly, be wary of apps with suspicious features. These may include unclear terms and conditions, hidden charges, or unrealistic promises of huge returns. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Finally, if you come across any fraudulent activity, don't hesitate to report it. Many regulatory bodies have channels for reporting scams, and your information could help prevent others from falling victim to the same fraud. Fantasy betting is a game of skill and knowledge. It requires an understanding of the sport, the players, and the ability to make strategic decisions based on the available data. But like any game, it's important to play responsibly. Remember, knowledge is power. Stay informed, bet smart, and don't let the fantasy become a nightmare. To wrap things up, betting fantasy apps can be a fun pastime, but they're not without risks. We've explored the shocking realities, the sly traps, and even the darker, fraudulent side of these platforms. We've also shed light on the real winners in these games and shared some crucial tips on how you can safeguard yourself. The world of fantasy sports is intriguing, but it's essential to tread with caution. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends. Stay safe, and thank you for watching.